Welcome back to the Now Morning Show. This morning on Spotlight, we're speaking about the University of Trinidad and Tobago, a Masters of Art in Carnival Studies and Founders Day.
This morning inside your Spotlight, I have Dr. Kela Francis, who's an assistant professor at UTT and program leader in the Master of Arts in Carnival Studies. Good morning to you, Dr. Francis. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
All right, so first of all, tell us a little bit about this program. We've been hearing people talking about the Master of Arts in Carnival Studies and throwing it around all over the place. People miss Carnival because of it, all kind of thing. So tell us a little bit about the program itself.
Well, the program is about, forgetting my maths right, it started in 2011, so it's about 13 years old now, and we are a multidisciplinary investigation of the impacts of Carnival on our history, sociology, politics, economics, culture, and our psycho-spiritual well-being. So we look at Carnival not just as a festival, but at this as this ingrained cultural thing in Trinidad and Tobago that affects so many other areas of our life that we observe or that we don't even know about. And happy to say a lot of our graduates are both more aware of self and poised to curate and promote Carnival in a holistic sense. There's an argument that Carnival is either economics or culture, but it's both. If you understand the culture, you will make money from the culture, right? So we're here to help our people understand what Carnival really is and what are we promoting to the world.
Now, you said it only started 13 years ago, right?
Yes.
Is there enough data, or was there enough data to be able to say, well, all right, we have all this economic data that's backing up, we have all this psychometric data, we have all this other data that is going to support all the things? Because I know one of the things that we complain about for years is that there was a shortage of information when it comes to the impact of Carnival.
Well, people have been writing about Carnival, and not just Carnival in Trinidad, but Carnival in the Black Atlantic, wherever people like us landed, Carnival happened, for about 80 years. And the first writings on Trinidad Carnival is from 1956, the Caribbean Quarterly Special Edition. So we've been researching, writing about Carnival for a very long time, writing about the rebellion embedded in Carnival and that kind of history. What we're working on, what our students do for their theses, for example, they go out and they collect the kind of data you're talking about. So they go out in the field, they interview people, they collect statistics, and we compile this information, we analyze this information so that we can get a better understanding of what's on the street going on for Carnival. So the information is there. We are more interested, as a people, we are more interested in the bacchanal and the commerce. So a lot of that makes the news.
Yeah.
But there is statistics that you can use. There's a lot of measurements. And if we compare ourselves with the carnivals we spawned in the diaspora, we see that, yes, money actually can be made from this festival, a lot of money.
Oh, no doubt about
It's
that.
where it goes is the question.
That's always the question. Tell me a little bit about Founders Day now. What is that event all about?
So the Academy, so the Masters of Arts and Carnival Studies is embedded in the Arts, Letters, Culture, and Public Affairs. It's a lot to say. Academy. And the Academy itself was founded February 28th, 2005.
Okay.
So following in the tradition of a lot of universities that have a Founders Day or a Charters Day, we said we will celebrate when our academy was founded.
Okay.
Just, yes, to get it out there so people could know about it, so people could understand that our culture is not fly by night, it's not rum shop, it's intrinsic to the well-being of Trinidad and Tobago. So that is what we dedicate ourselves to studying and promoting and getting people to know about.
So I understand that you're having an event to celebrate the Founders Day this year around. Tell me about the event.
On March 6th, 6 p.m., we will have our inaugural Founders Day. And it is to celebrate the founding of the Academy and the achievements of the Masters of Arts in Carnival Studies, our premier program. This year we will be honoring our first program leader, the man who invented the studies program in the first place, our 9-time Calypso monarch, Professor Hollis Liverpool, ORTT. This program was his brainchild. It is one of, he has many legacies, but it's one of the legacies he's leaving Trinidad and Tobago. And, you know, as Tiny sang last year, give them the flowers while they're alive.
Most definitely. Tell me about the people who've been graduating. You said that, you know, you've seen them go and collect that data outside. You've seen them go and do the research that's necessary to be able to bring forth the change that we want, or the appreciation that we want of the culture. Tell me some of the things that you've seen so far come out of the program that you can say, yes, we know that this is working.
Well, I would boast of graduates like Marie Elegant, who works, she's the co-founder of Image Mass, and they are doing some interesting things with recycling and mass. So they're expanding the idea of how mass can work in the space, how mass can address our current issues like climate change. Michelle Henry is another one of our graduates, and she formed her own band after graduating. So, you know, she's keeping that Calypso music alive. There are a lot of people to name.
Yeah.
I don't want to try and name everybody because, you know, as David Rudder say, it will be unfair.
It will be unfair to the rest. Now, what's interesting for me is, you know, we mentioned, and you mentioned just now, you know, keeping Calypso alive and things of that nature, right? And there's been a growing concern that people now sing Calypsos in an attempt to win the crown. Before, historically speaking, we would have Calypsos that would be addressing whatever is happening in the country or the world at large. But now it seems as though people have a formula to be able to say, all right, this is how you win the monarch, so this is what I'm going to do to win the monarch. How do we address that situation? Or do you even see that as a situation?
It is a situation. I'm trying to see how politically correct I can be about it.
Why, Dr. Francis? We're having a candid conversation.
It is an issue, but we're seeing it across the board in all competitions. The idea that this rubric is what you work towards. And I go back in history and I talk about like the first Calypso competition, 1930, well, before 1939. So you have the Victory Day competition in 1919. This was after World War I.
Right.
At the time, Calypsonians were singing in patois. Right, and to enter the competition, you had to sing in English.
Right.
So you started to see the shift from patois to English because that's the only way you would win prizes.
Right.
Right, and we have to remember that these arts grew out of a people who were struggling financially, and so prize money, recognition, being able to trade, winning something for a career was a very, you know,
motivational.
It was motivational, and we started to narrow, I would say we started to narrow really and truly by the 90s because it was still about being creative. But there came a period, I would call it the Eric Williams period, where you could sing anything, right? He just turned off his hearing aid. You could sing whatever you want, bash the government all you want. And then somewhere in the latter half of the 20th century, we entered the, I try not to say his phrase, but we know his famous phrase, right? Let the bray.
Right, let them bray. Right.
And so we had the bray era, and then we had the no bray era, and people started censoring themselves. You started noticing a certain kind of style won the competition, so everybody went by that writer.
Well, if somebody wins the competition 9 times using a style, I would want to follow that same style, because then if you win 9 times, I could win too.
No, that's not the style they follow.
Really?
Yeah.
What is the style they follow?
A lot of our younger singers, and it starts with the junior Calypso, because a lot of junior Calypso, they don't write for themselves. They have people write for them.
Yeah.
So they are more, the controversy, they're more Calypso singers.
Yeah.
And so you go by the famous writers. And I won't call their names, but there are about 6 of them. And so what you end up hearing for the Marche Gras might be 7 voices, meaning a lot of these songs are written by one person.
Yeah.
And so you're hearing one opinion repeated by different singers, as opposed to 12 different people sharing their own thoughts. One of the other things we look at, apart from competition too, is people don't read much anymore. You know, and sad to say, and so that literacy that you would have found in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, even people like Spoiler reading comic books and turning that into calypsos, right? You're not getting that kind of depth anymore, generally speaking. There are calypsonians, though, I will say, who
definitely
who do well.
But what do you think
the
contributes to that lack of depth, besides the not reading?
To sound very old, social media.
You know, I don't disagree, because I think that now we don't have to process very much. You can just have a thought and put it into words and post it and get a reaction. And sometimes the more banal the thought, the more the reaction that you get. So it encourages people to not have to think very much and not do critical thinking.
Yes.
And do you think that helps or hurts the art form?
It hurts all art forms. Because art is supposed to make us question reality, what we think is reality, make us see the walls around us, how it's constructed, and hopefully lead to a more egalitarian, a more open society. So when we stop doing those deep dives, questioning what is, why is, who we are, why we are here, and we just go for the cheap shots, we are not going to advance as a people.
Do you think along the way, you mentioned, you know, the time when they let them bray and all that stuff, but along the way we noticed that there was a decline in the Calypso tents. We noticed that during that period when they kept bashing government after government, kept bashing particular governments, that, you know, there was a decline in the Calypso tents. Do you think that Calypso did that to itself, like as in it hurt itself by bashing too much?
I would say yes and no. Yes, because we lost balance. So it wasn't only about bashing. You had a good mix. I keep telling people, if Spoiler came today, Spoiler wouldn't win a crown. Spoiler won a crown. With the kind of jokey stuff he used to sing, he won a crown because it was witty, well written, and well received, right? So it's not, it's the loss of balance, right? It's a conflation of things, right? That leads to and then the proliferation of tents. Because I keep telling people, as much as I love Calypso, I also recognize Calypso is becoming a niche music, right? Like jazz. Jazz is a niche music. You have people who into it, and then they have people who are on the periphery. But when you have about 19 tents, right, and let's say 100,000 people into it, you're splitting that by 19, so your audiences are always going to look low. During COVID, for example, when WAC was running its virtual tent, they would have 2,000 people tuning in. And that told you that there is an audience. There's a large enough audience. They just kind of scattered. So it looks like it's dying. When you go to the tent, you know, you will get a mix of calypsos, good, bad, in between. But in Trinidad, if 3 people say something, somehow it's automatically true. So 3 people said the tent dying, so now we just think it is. But I don't think it is. I just think, you know, we're in a time of flux and a time to reinvestigate and change and revamp and come again.
Nice. Well, tell us, how do we become a part of this program to be able to learn a little bit more and to appreciate ourselves a little bit more and to be able to, you know, get that Master of Arts?
Well, you can apply. Our applications, we take in every September. It's a 2-year program. As our founder likes to say, it's the cheapest masters you can get. So relatively inexpensive. And you go to u.tt, study, pick your program, and you can apply online. Once you apply online, we interview you, see where you are, what you want to do, and then you get your acceptance letter if you come into the program.
Are there prerequisites to be a part of the program? What do you need to have?
Typically, you need to have just your first degree. It can be any first degree. I would recommend history or something along those lines. But it can be any degree, really. Cultural studies, any degree. Right? Usually take a first degree. We also do mature students This is aimed at people who have been in the business for a while.
So the experience counts.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the experience counts. So you come and you show up that experience with letters behind your name, because we are in Trinidad and people like letters behind their name.
Indeed. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Dr.
Thank you.
Francis. And congratulations on the program and on the Founders Day. And please continue to do the great work that we need to do to be able to appreciate our culture and to promote it further.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Kela Francis, Assistant Professor at UTT and Program Leader as well in the Master of Arts and Carnival Studies. And we get ready to celebrate Founders Day on March 6th as well. So you can head across to u.tt and get all the information that you need. We'll take a quick break and come back with more in our morning show. Stay tuned.
1974, to a mother named Calypso.